Hi everybody, guess who? That's right, Mary Sitoli from the Follow Your Bliss Foundation. I realize I have been away for quite some time and I have quite a bit to cover, so get your bowl of popcorn as usual because it's been a long 6 months. Pretty intense. And I want to start by saying that I've talked to a number of people who I know are still struggling with their taper, and some of the stuff that I'm going to share today I would not necessarily recommend that you do while you're tapering, but I think it's good to know about. I'm just telling you about my experience so that you can kind of make decisions for yourself with how you want to handle your own recovery. So I'm going to start out by talking a little bit about the ketogenic diet, which I believe was one of my last videos that I left off with. I think I mentioned that I had been trying it at that point back in May. And at first I felt really good. I had some issues with what they call a ketogenic rash. And at first I didn't know what it was, because about 6 weeks maybe or so into the diet I had itching from hell, and it was like I just broke out in a head to toe body rash that was just so wicked that I could not sleep. I was itching all night, and it was just sort of like this kind of itch where you were just like, oh, I want to kill somebody. So I did a little research and I found a bunch of other people on YouTube and elsewhere who are suffering from the same symptoms of a ketogenic rash. Apparently, some people, I'm not going to say all of you because I think there is potential for it to work well for some people, but it didn't for me. And I don't, because there are some people that I know that are doing this ketogenic diet for benzo recovery, and I don't know exactly what their experience is because I haven't talked to any of them. I know Jocelyn Pedersen, one of her last videos, and I hope some of you who have direct contact with her might share my video, because if this is happening to her, I want to pass some information on, because I no way want anybody to go through what I've had to endure the last 6 months. But from what I had researched anyway, I felt that it triggered some hormonal upsets in my body. My thyroid, I was typically having low T3, so that wasn't that uncommon for me, but low T4 was really uncommon. So it seemed to suppress thyroid function, which I had heard some things on YouTube about it, so I think it might just sort of depend on the person and how they handle fats. I don't seem to handle fats very well. I detox and everything just, I think, let loose in my system, and it was brutal. So do your research on everything, because I think this is an individualized thing, and I think it's something that you have to test drive for yourself. I know I wouldn't have gotten to where I'm at if I hadn't tried it and had the reaction that I did. But so I watched a whole lot of YouTube over the summer because I was inside itching to death and bleeding from the itching. I mean, I would wake up and there would be blood all over my sheets from just, I think I was itching myself when I did finally fall asleep, and I didn't even know it because I was waking up with just all this stuff on me. So anyway, after I did some research, I also got a bunch of labs back. My cholesterol went sky high in the diet. My other lipid labs looked great, but my cholesterol went sky high. So I don't really know the ramifications long term. There seems to be more information about long-term ketogenic diet, where it seems to be more problematic for long term. I know there's a lot of people using it for cancer treatment, but there's another one for you guys. Hold on to your seat. So shortly after the rash breakout in July, August sometime, I started having some rather intense bleeding episode, which I had had some of this about 4 years ago with fibroid issues that I had had during perimenopause, and I know a lot of you ladies probably have issues with fibroids, and I think I went into some of that with one of my hormone videos earlier on. So I just assumed that it was triggered from the rash, because one of the things that I also found out is when we eat a high-fat diet, like the ketogenic diet, there is a propensity for some people to recycle estrogen, and I think that's what happened to me. Recycled estrogen kind of bumped my estrogen levels up, because it was the first time I had a lab where my estrogen, I'm in menopause, so typically it's been really low, and it had gone up significantly in my tests. So I suspect all of the research that I did on it seemed to kind of point to that being an issue. So bleeding went on for about a month, and I did some investigation on a low-fat vegan diet, which I promptly put myself on to clear the rash, and within 2 weeks my rash was mostly gone. I'm still having a few hives here and there that break out from stress, but it was really pretty amazing how quickly that diet had reversed the rash issues, because apparently, like I said, some people do not process fat really well, and I'm one of them, and it was not fun. So I am now officially a low-fat vegan person for the time being anyway. About a month into the bleeding, I had a pap smear done, routine pap smear. I had been to the VA, which is another long issue. I know some of you know that over the summer and spring I was applying for VA benefits to help assist me with the recovery from the benzos and the PTSD and everything that I incurred during my stay in the military. And I still itchy a little bit, still have some itchy spots. So I had gone after some support to help my recovery process, because I don't get enough on SSDI to support myself, as many of you know. That was a major stressor over the summer. I thought SSDI was hard to get on, but the VA, it's like they pretty much are, I think, set up to prevent people from getting their financial benefits. It's easy to get on medical disability if you don't have enough money, and the medical disability has been great. I actually got vision exam, which I didn't get with disability, so I've got new eyes, contacts, I can see again. They provided me with acupuncture, which is helping tremendously with the hissing. I found that usually the day after I have the acupuncture, the hissing stops, and I've never, since I came off the benzos, had the hissing stop for more than 3 days. Typically would be like 3 days, and that was not in the beginning. I had it constantly for about 6 months to a year, I think, and then after that I had episodes of 3 days on, 3 days off. It's almost like clockwork. It's really weird, and I don't know if any of you guys have that, but that's been pretty typical for me. But since the acupuncture, it took a few sessions with the acupuncture, but then, and I don't know how much of, again, is the vegan diet here, so bear in mind that is reducing inflammation in the body dramatically by removing fat, animal fat, dairy fat, pretty much all kinds of fats other than nuts and seeds, limited amounts I'm eating just because of other things which I'm about to go over. So the acupuncture has actually interrupted the hissing and stopped it for as much as a week, and then maybe I'd have a day, and so far I went for a treatment I think 3 days ago, and I'm at 3 days right now, so we'll know tomorrow if it's still slowly tapering off, and I'm crossing my fingers, because for me, I don't know about you guys, but I found that to be one of the hardest symptoms to deal with, because I can't focus when I get it. I feel overwhelmed, and it just feels like the whole glutamate rush is worse when I get those. Something I can't explain. So the VA medical benefits have been beneficial to me, things that I didn't get covered before, which I'm really grateful for, because they were things that I badly needed. I hadn't had vision exam, and I'm probably a lot older than you guys, so I got new glasses and I got new contact lenses, and I was a happy being for the first few weeks. I was like, I can see to drive. Oh my God, it's a whole new world. So it was cool. So then, but the financial benefits have been hell. At first they told me that it looked real good. I had a congressional person involved, one of my district offices, that was supposedly had a little more power than, I thought he had more power than he actually did, and that's another little political issue that I'll go into in a moment. But I had I wasn't getting the help that I should have been. They were telling me I should have been getting, and it wasn't happening. And the whole VA thing is kind of a story in itself. It's probably a whole video in itself, but I don't want to get too deeply into it, other than kind of what we're trying to accomplish with a fundraiser that my sister and brother are doing for me. My pap test came back positive. I wasn't really all that surprised, because I think the benzo belly thing has been more than benzo belly for me, and I was just kind of in a stage of denial about getting it checked out, because I think you all know how distrustful we get at doctors, and it's hard to sort out sometimes how you're feeling from really how much is the benzos and how much of it is real life normal stuff, like I told you with my episode with the pneumonia. And I hesitate going to doctors because they've told me so many times, you're fine, and in fact, even when I went back to the ER for some heavy bleeding a couple weeks ago, the doctor told me I was the healthiest one in the ER. So that gives you some perspective how what they have to compare to is, you know, cancer person is healthier than everybody else they're treating in the hospital. So anyway, I don't want you guys to like freak out, because I'm not like freaked out at all. I'm actually really optimistic about this, because now I know what was causing the bleeding and this weird discharge thing that I was having. And the vegan diet actually has been helpful to that too. I mean, a lot of things. My rash, my cognizant function is so much better. I can think, I have less anxiety, I have more energy, I am able to be out in the world a whole lot more than I was before, even on the ketogenic diet. It's like night and day difference for me just in 2 months. I have been on the diet for exactly about 2 months now, and I would say that I'm doing pretty damn good for only 2 months. So it's encouraging, and I wanted to share this with you because I think that we're not getting the full scoop on food. There's so much marketing behind everything. Everything, as you know, is all about money. So you have to be your own advocate with this stuff. You have to check everything out. You have to decide for yourself what information is true for you, what rings true for you, and what rings true. And I think there was someplace down inside me that knew that I was going to end up at this vegan thing sooner or later, because to be honest with you, a lot of the doctors that are advocating this for cancer treatment and a lot of other health, not just cancer treatment, a lot of health issues, diabetes, all kinds of things. And this low carb thing we're being sold is really nonsense, because there's so many diabetics on YouTube that are doing a low fat vegan diet that totally reverse their diabetes with it. It has to do with sugar versus carbs and how they metabolize in your system. And I think, again, some people do better with it, some people may not do better with it. You have to find that path. And that's what I came to on my own, was realizing that I could listen to a lot of people's opinion, and I've learned to shut out a lot of opinions and just kind of go inward with my meditation and my yoga and say, okay, does this ring true for me? Because that's the important thing. Does it ring true for you? And is it going to be something that you can handle? Because it's not an easy diet to follow. I mean, I'm living on vegetables, sweet potatoes, beans and rice, lentils, and a little bit, very little bit of fruit, apple, some berries, and that's about it. But I'm doing this because of the pap smear results, and I'm going to share a little bit about, sorry, I got an itch again, share a little bit about the pap smear results, so that, and I'm doing this for some of you women, because I know there's a lot of women out there that are probably close to my age or my age that have gone through the benzo withdrawal, and I think it's stressful on our bodies, as you all know. It's hellish to get off this drug, and I think that it kind of sets you up for this, because one of the leading causes of cancer is stress. And I know my last decade of my life has probably been some of the hardest, no, not probably, has been the hardest stuff that I've ever been through, between losing my businesses, my career, my life, my friends. And I've recently been fortunate to reconnect with my siblings after them not really understanding, sorry, getting emotional, not understanding this for quite some time. And I think that I'm finally getting to a point where I can talk about this whole thing without the anger, because I realized that a lot of people, we were all looking for an easy fix so we could quickly get back to our lives and not have to deal with what was eating us, what was causing our anxiety and insomnia, which is cortisol. It's just the stress hormone of this world right now is so overwhelming on so many levels, and people are so fearful and so angry at each other that we're not really taking the time to listen and connect to what other people have to say, because we are so sure that our opinions are right. And I know mine's changed quite a bit over the summer, even, about medicine and the benzos. I mean, because I'm having to piece my VA case together with doctors who I have to now try to service connect this so I can get this money to live and help me with my treatment and everything else. So I am having to plan a visit to the psychiatrist to help me with my PTSD that I don't know whether he'll understand it the way I'm going to try to explain it or not, but I have to try, and I have to take all of my medical records and the accident that I had in the military so that they can service link it, and hopefully that will take care of a lot of my problems with the money. So fingers crossed that I'm going to be able to accomplish that mission. So the cancer, the pap test. All right. So some of you women understand, because I didn't understand this about pap smears either. There are like 4 possible pap smear outcomes that you can have, and generally when you get a negative pap smear, which is normal, that's what you're hoping for. But pap smears are meant to catch squamous cell carcinoma, which is a cellular activity that takes place on the cervix, and is not more aggressive than, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this one right or not, it's adenocarcinoma or adenocarcinoma. They are both, from what I have researched, equally as aggressive types of cancers. They are equally treatable types of cancers, depending on the stage that it's at. But however, the difference is that adenocarcinoma is usually caught a little later than squamous cell carcinoma, because it starts further up in the cervix. So they don't catch it till it's a little bit more progressed, like in my case. So, but I'm not freaking out at all. I actually am very optimistic with this vegan diet. I found a woman in Florida who had done a vegan diet and acupuncture, basically what I'm doing, to completely eradicate her cancer, and was successful, and has now been clear of it for like 30 or 40 years. And she's been super helpful. She's helped me with some alternative treatments for rash, for douches. Probably too much information for you guys, but you ladies, you want me to share the formula, I'll email me and I'll be happy to give it to you. That's helped with the bleeding and the discharge a lot. In fact, I started that just a couple weeks ago and have almost eradicated those symptoms completely. So I'm really optimistic about that, and I'm just as you're viewing this video, had gone in for a third opinion and a further testing to find out as far as where I'm at with everything. And in the meantime, I had fortunately started this vegan diet about a month before I got the pap smear results back, so I had a head start on it. The whole idea that it might be possible, and I had watched a bunch of cervical cancer videos before I got the pap smear back, because I kind of knew at that point that this wasn't normal what I was having happen. So I was, you know, you women who know this, know our bodies, at least I think most of you do. Like, if you've been pregnant at all, you know that you're pregnant. And I think I've heard that from a lot of my friends. They just knew the instant they conceived. Well, this was sort of the same way. I just kind of knew, I had a feeling. The stress had been horrible. I hadn't been sleeping all summer again, and you know, that's a huge issue. So starting, my sister got me on this thing called Somaderm. I guess it's supposed to reset your hormone system. So far, so good. I had couple of the best night's sleeps I've had this week so far, because I've had a tremendous amount of stress. So just wanted to share these pieces of information so that when you go to get a pap smear, you know what sort of the outcome potential is for it. So we are now waiting those test results back as you are watching this video. I'll probably have them back in a week or two, and then from there I'll make my decision about if I'm going to do anything else besides the vegan diet. I'm also doing infrared sauna to sort of just detox my system in general from all the drugs and other stuff they've given me over the years, antibiotics, which is what I suspect probably started a lot of my health issues, just suppressing my immune system. And we've all learned a lot about the antibiotics and probiotics and the macrobiome and how important that is to rebuild. So I'm doing a lot of that with fermented vegetables and probiotics, and just really giving my immune system and time to rest, which is why you haven't seen a video from me for 6 months, because I've really been trying to find time to do my yoga and go do the saunas and the other myriad of just cooking the food, because I'm baking potatoes, sweet potatoes all the time, or making beans and rice or whatever. It's labor intensive, so it's not something I think that, unless you really are motivated for reasons like myself, like my life, that you will want to go that deeply into it, unless of course you are inspired by the fact that it has really helped a lot of my benzo symptoms. I have to admit that a lot of the electrical stuff is almost gone. I'm getting some tingling and numbness still, but there are days when I can walk without the muscles being like so rigid that I feel like I'm going to fall over. Some of my balance issues have cleared up, and like I said, this is only 2 months, so I wanted to get on here. I just smashed my hand. I'm bleeding. So I wanted to get on here and let you know where I've been and why, and I wanted to be, I guess, sure about the direction I was going to take before I cued everybody in on this, because I didn't want to come on like I did with ketogenic diet, and I don't think I was really giving false information, because at the time I think it was helping me, and it's just the long term I'm not real sure about, and I don't think anybody else is either. I think there's still a lot of research that maybe needs to be done on those levels, but I wanted, because of that and the reaction that I had to it, I wanted to wait until I had gotten all this stuff cleared up and was pretty sure about the pap smear and the rash and everything, just what the diet was doing for me. I mean, my skin looks so much, it looks amazing compared to what it did. I mean, I just can't even begin to compare where I was at 2 months ago when I started this process. So anyway, a little bit more about the fundraiser. We're trying to raise enough money to cover some of my treatment costs and some of my just living expenses, because I've gotten grants from the VA and Legion. I can't live on what I'm doing, and I've had a couple times where I've been really close to being homeless again, and I've had some friends help me, but it's scary to be sick with the benzo thing, let alone with the pap smear issue on top of it. So I put a link for the fundraiser below. We're launching that today as you're getting this video. If you're watching the video right away after I sent it out, if you're watching it later on, we are launching it October 30th of 2018. So if you are within a couple months of seeing that video, please go to the link and share it. We're hoping to get about 1,000 people who can donate roughly $50 or more each. If you can't donate that much, I understand that a lot of you are financially inept because of what's happened to you, and I get it. So I'm not asking specifically for that, but for you to share this, because this is really important, super important for me. And I appreciate all of your struggles with this and your journey with it. And as you know, I've tried to give back with my nonprofit and my videos and my blogs in my own way, and so I need a little support right now. It's been a rough summer, really rough summer, and but I have a lot of hope, like I said, and I want you guys to have a lot of hope that you can come through this, because if you can, I just felt sort of like when I got the pap smear back that if I can beat benzo's, cancer's walk in the park. I mean, literally a walk in the park. You guys know that, and I think that's an important message with this for the general population who haven't been through it, so that we can help them understand the gravity of what this does to a person's life who does react to the benzos, because not everybody does. You know, it's like the keto rash. Not everybody gets it, but I guess us sensitive ones are the lucky ones. And I've said this before, I think we are all here to change the face of healthcare and teach how to combine the East with the West and the alternative with the Western philosophies, and embrace the best of both worlds, because Western medicine has an awesome diagnostic process, but I don't want any other drugs. I want to do this holistically, and I know that a lot of you will support me on this, because I know that's how you feel after going through this horrible experience with coming off these drugs. So anyway, please share the link below. It means a lot to me. Forward it to as many people as you can, and wish me luck. I'm hoping really for the best with this, and I'm working on my children's book, so I'm hoping to have them out by next Christmas. The app has become a book now, an ebook with music videos, so a little less expensive to make, to get the financing for, and I've got some grants that have gone out for that. So it's been a busy 6 months for me, and I'm hopeful that I have just begun my life after this whole horrible thing that's happened, and it's not the end of my life, hoping. So I'm wishing you all well, and I hope that those of you who are still tapering are staying the course, and we'll look forward to, I'll give you guys an update once I get my test results back, and tell you how the vegan thing's going. It's kind of interesting. So take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.